Hey, what's up everybody? This is Easy Speeds and Feeds. This is our aluminum part video, part two of three parts. So let's get it going. So in this part two, we'll be doing surfacing and milling the two small holes. So our first part, we did all the basic milling. We dynamicked all the stock out, we profiled the part, and we did the bore. We'll show that and verify right now. So there is our part one. That's all the milling with a 1/2 inch bowl end mill with a 20 thou radius. So the outside is done. The hole in the middle is done. Next two things on this op is surfacing and the two holes. So let's jump right into the surfacing. We're going to do flow line, and we're going to select these chamfers on the outside. Hit end selection. Flow line direction, and we want to go parallel to the chamfer. Give it a nice finish. Next, yeah, as you can see, we have a 20 thou radius tool on there, so that should be able to surface this pretty good. And it's the same tool that did the profile and face, so the blend should be really nice. So we give it a 2 thou distance step over, and we're going to go spiral. Now, this next part of the video, we play around with the settings in Flowline, just because it does give us some trouble when it retracts and moves over, and then it gives us some more trouble when we change some settings, but that's just surfacing for you. I mean, depending on how the geometry of your part looks, you may have to play around with the settings. So here's our first go, and we're going to do verify, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So at the end of this surfacing we do, it cuts away part of the top of the part, which is bad, obviously. So we have to go back to the settings and play around a bit. And we'll go into parameters. And this takes us a couple tries to figure it out, but we eventually get it. So for our second try, we go back into geometry and we check the top surface. And then we regen the toolpath. And in our parameters on check surfaces, we have 0 thou. So it should leave 0 thou on the check surface. So it should not cut off the top like before. But as you can see, it did some funny toolpaths on the radius where it looks like it's just plunging, and we don't really want that. That's not going to give us the finish we want. So we go back into verify, we check it out again. And we don't want those plunging moves. So after looking at this model for a bit, we go to one way, hit the check, hit regen, click the check again, and it's still adding those plunge moves, so we still don't have our settings right. So we've tried doing the check surface, we've tried changing spiral to one way, now that looks pretty good, but once we go into verify, and this is why verify is so great, is because you can actually see what's happening. It's not very good. It does all plunge moves around the thing, which is not what we want. That's not how you get a good finish. We go back into geometry, go into flow line settings, we change the cut direction, and we change the step direction, so from the top down instead of from the bottom up. We regen the toolpath once more, and that looks pretty good. So we'll verify again. And that's looking a lot better. And you can just tell by the texture that it's leaving that, it's going to leave a great finish. So depending on what your geometry is, you may have to play around with the settings to get the surfacing just right. Now we're going to copy and paste that toolpath, delete all the drives, and select that inner chamfer around the hole in the middle. Change the cut direction. Change the step direction. Change the step direction from top down, like before. And we'll try spiral this time. Hit regen, and that looks pretty good. So it looks like we nailed it the first time here, after learning a couple things on the outside. So we're looking at it, and let's see what happens in the middle. That looks pretty good. Spiraling down 2,000 per revolution. That's good. So a little bit of struggle, but we got our surfacing done. That looks pretty good. Starting to look like a part. So next we're going to do the holes, the two small holes, and we think about first drilling them, but then I switch to an 1/8 inch end mill because I figure that's 200 thou, and an 1/8 inch end mill will give you more control over the diameter. So I look for a spot drill, and then I realize, why not just use an end mill? And that's what you'll see me switch to right here. So we'll exit out of that, and we'll measure these holes just to be sure. So we go to levels, activate wireframe. We measure that hole. It looks like it's 201 thou. So go back to toolpaths. We're gonna do a helix bore. Just how we helix bored the middle one, we're gonna helix bore these outside ones, just with a smaller end mill. So let's delete that spot drill. Select library tool, and we'll go to square end mills or flat, and then we'll do an 1/8 inch. Go into edit tools. That all looks good. Click next, make it tool 2. Feed rate, we're going to go easyspeedsandfeeds.com. We're going to find the 1/8 inch. Type in 1/8 inch at the top. We'll find a surface footage that works. We have a 10,000 max RPM spindle, so 9,000 looks good. It's a 3-fluter, and we'll go 1,000 seems a little bit fast for helix boring, so we'll go 5/10. 13 inches a minute, we can make that work. So we got 13 inches a minute, and we'll go 9,000. So we'll go to cut parameters, rough parameters, and our rough pitch will be about 5 thou per revolution. So every time it goes around that hole, it would be about 5 thou deeper. So finish pitch, We'll go about 10 thou, step over, about 2 thou for the finish. And as you can see, it's going really deep, so when you go to our linking parameters, click on that depth, and then we'll change it to 3.5, just so we know it breaks through. So, Helix Bore in those holes, double checking everything. We're going to start about 25 thou above. Make sure it starts that helix 25 thou above the face. And we're going to verify. Yeah, as you can see, we do a lot of verify here just because we don't want any surprises when we go to machine this thing. And looks like I put those 2 holes in. That looks good. And this is the end of part 2, which was just the surfacing in the holes. Part 3 will be the backside, the entire backside. So be on the lookout for that. And thanks for watching.